Welcome to 1000 PS, welcome to beautiful Vegas. Well, we're just outside Vegas, as you can tell, and welcome to the new Chieftain bagger from India. Honestly speaking, I'm a bit of a sports bike fan. You probably don't normally see me stood behind bikes like this, but this is a bike that really intrigues me. The reason for that is that I've been a massive fan of the Bagger Racing Series in America, and Indian have won that 3 years on the trot, and 2 years ago they let me ride their race bike, and I was absolutely amazed by what they can do with that race bike and the lap times they were pushing out. They were like 5-6 seconds slower around a track than an actual superbike on a bike using the new 112 engine that we now see here in the Chieftain. It was an impressive bike and I couldn't wait to ride the road version, but I'll be honest, I didn't have massive expectations for the road bike because I knew that the road bike had seen so much development and had lots of money thrown at it, and it'd been a while since I've rode a cruiser, but I was actually very much mistaken and very wrong. So in the last 5 years, the cruiser market has changed dramatically as people have won advanced rider aids that you see on other bikes. So for example, this has got a 6-axis IMU, which is what we'd normally associate with a superbike that was ridden around a track. But what that delivers us is cornering ABS. And it's not cornering ABS on a single caliper, it's cornering ABS on massive Brembo radials. These are really strong brakes. We've got cornering traction control. And you need that because it's got so much torque and so much power. We've got 3 rider modes that are easy to select. We can turn off the traction and switch it back on should we wish whilst we're riding. It's got a radar on the rear that gives us the anti-collision warning and the blind spot detection. It's got a plethora of rider aids that you would normally associate with a superbike and not with a cruiser. But the big talking point, I guess, for this bike is the new engine, which is the new 112. So that stands for the cubic capacities, what they do over here in the US. But in terms of what we have in the UK, it's 126 horsepower with 181.4 Newton meters of torque, or in foot-pounds, that's 133 foot-pounds of torque at under 4,000 RPM. Now you can see why it needs that cornering ABS and that cornering traction control. In terms of other advancements, you've got upside down forks, you've got an adjustable shock with a remote preload, you've got cruise control, you've got a complete new dash here on the Chieftain. So if you're not familiar with baggers, it's slightly different in that all the top fairing is mounted to the bars. So when you move the bars, that moves the top fairing. It gives the biker a lighter feeling and a lighter look. But in there, you've got so much information with integrated sat-nav, you've got the stereo, you can connect your phone, you can play music. It's really intuitive and very simple. When we started the ride today, I thought it was a little bit overpowering, maybe a little bit complex because there's a lot going on, but it's really simple to use. The dash is so informative. There's little shortcuts that you can use and it's all touchscreen and it's very simple and very easy to use. I think my expectations were it was going to be overcomplicated, but it's really not. And I think a lot of manufacturers could look at Indian and get some hints and get some tips, because that's one of the most informative and easy accessible dashes that I've used in recent years. And it's very clear and simple and easy to understand, especially when you're on roads like here in the US that are just dead straight. Put the cruise control on, see what the bike's doing to the gallon, see where you're going on your navigation, hook up your phone, play your music, electric screen. Once you get that fully upright, you can hear the music very clearly. In terms of handling, again, it's been a while since I've rode a big cruiser. And the last big cruisers I remember were just running out of ground clearance every time you looked at a corner. But ground clearance is actually reasonably impressive. You can get an actual shift on. And when you start to ride and use that 126 horsepower, the chassis is composed, it's settled, it's not wallowing, it's not getting in a mess, it keeps stable. The braking is really strong for a cruiser. Really strong Brembos. Yeah, the ABS is a little... it kicks in once or twice, but you would expect that, and it's got linked braking. So you apply the front does the back, and the back does the front, and vice versa. But throughout the day, when I've thought, oh, I think I found a fault with the bike, or I think this is maybe an error, or this is what I don't like. It's kind of reinvented itself and countered that argument. So I was, for example, I didn't like the link brakes. I was like, I don't want link brakes at low speed because I want that control. I want to control the bikes. But that's what the bike does. So once you get to a low speed, the link brakes don't work anymore. And then when I was in the dash, I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. I think I've gone too deep down that rabbit hole and I've gone through too many screens. But then you press one button and it just comes back and it's very simple. And then for me, I was like, I don't want the traction control to be on. So that's probably going to be really complex to get the traction control to switch off. And it's not, it's one button. It's really simple and really easy and really fun to ride. And in this environment, I think it's just been the perfect partner. It's been a while since I've rode a bike like this, as I said before, but I've so much enjoyed it. There's just something great about riding a big, powerful American cruiser in America that's got really good rider rates, it's got really good brakes, it's got really good chassis. You don't seem to have to make errors or excuses for having a cruiser like you used to 6 or 7 years ago. You knew when you rode a cruiser 10 years ago, for example, that the brakes weren't going to be great, the ground clearance weren't going to be great, and it didn't have that much power. But this is a completely different weapon. It has really surprised me. I think a lot of riders who kind of snub or turn their back at the cruiser market need to have a go on this bike. It's so entertaining and so enjoyable to ride, and I think personally it looks great. The attention to detail, it feels quality, it looks quality, the panniers are easy to access, they open from the top, there's nothing fiddly, it's very simple and very easy, and it sounds good. In terms of downsize, in the UK, it's going to be expensive, as you'd expect. So it's going to start at 26,895, so that's just under 27,000, and that's in standard form. And there is an absolute host of accessories. So you can fit the heel and toe gear shift, you can even fit a cooling seat should you want to, for some bizarre reason in the UK. So you can easily tick a few boxes and get north of £30,000. But I think it looks like a 25 to £30,000 bike. It feels like that. It's so much fun and so enjoyable to ride. As I say, when I rode the race version, I was so impressed what they could do. And my expectations of this model wasn't actually that high. I thought it was going to be like a typical cruiser, but it's surpassed what I thought it would be. It's quicker than I thought it would be. It handles better than I thought it would do. The brakes are way better than I thought it would. And the intuitive and simplicity of the dash and the user menu is really, really top class. If you're ever in the market or you're thinking about, literally get down to your Indian showroom and take it for a test drive. Even the most dedicated elbow dragging sports bike fans will enjoy riding this type of bike, especially in this environment. And if you've got any more technical questions or you want me to go a little bit more in depth with the chassis or what they've done with the wheelbase or what the bike weighs, then please fire some questions below and me or one of the team will get back to you. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and I'll see you on the next one.